Hey guys, Yankee here, and today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on Invaders of the Rokujouma, episodes 8 and 9. These two episodes here adapt volume 5 of the light novel, and they focus on the character Eureka. It starts with one of the evil magical girls that Eureka talked about in episode 1, finally arriving, and basically this is just 2 episodes of fights. This is the most action-oriented couple of episodes we've had so far. The first half of episode, what would it be? Episode 8. The first half of episode 8 is basically Maki arrives, her trying to convince her friends that she is actually a magical girl, and then the second half is just a fight between Eureka and Maki, and then eventually Kotaro and Sanae show up to help. And then episode 9, the first half, is basically recovering from that first battle with Maki, and then the second half is just another fight. So, a lot of action in these 2 episodes. It's okay. Pretty good in some spots, but it's obviously a sort of a lower budget anime. So it doesn't look terrible, but it's not gonna like blow you away or anything, the fights. But they're alright. And so, right now, out of all the stuff we've seen so far, Maki is by far the best villain we've had, mainly because she is present throughout these whole 2 episodes, really, whereas Clan in the episodes before, she was just sort of in the background, and that was mainly focused on the play and not so much Clan herself, whereas these 2 episodes are really more about just magical girls in general, and sort of we've got Eureka really wanting Kotaro and everyone to recognize her as a magical girl, and Maki there to basically get the magic that is stored in room 106. So in these 2 episodes, we've got a few major things. Well, okay, let's start with this. We see more of Eureka and Harumi. We see more of their friendship. Harumi comes to her asking for advice on how to get closer with Kotaro, because she feels that he is sort of treating her differently than his other friends, and she wants to be more friendly with him. And Eureka is sort of helping with that. We hadn't really touched on their friendship since episode 3, when they sort of become friends during the obstacle course. So we get a bit of that, and that's good. And then we've got we get more of the white magic in this, and it's pretty they really bring attention to it in these 2 episodes. And then we get our first look at black magic. In the second episode here, episode 9, Maki goes to the apartment and sort of figures out some of the magic that she believes Kotaro is pulling from there, and sort of harnesses a bit of it for herself, and that ends up becoming black magic. Which don't really mean much in these episodes, but again, I've read well past all this stuff in the novels, and it's kind of surprising how much stuff gets foreshadowed in these early chunks. So yeah, we get... Okay, events. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry about that. The first sort of big fight, we get Kotaro showing up and seeing Eureka actually using magic. And we get him actually acknowledge that she's a magical girl. And we get, some bonding between between Eureka and Kotaro because of that. And then in episode 9, and this is the part that I think is going to divide people on these episodes, Maki specializes in, Navy magic, right? There's 7 different types of magic, 9 if you count white magic and black magic, but those are kind of, those are off on their own, and people don't really know how to use them. I don't remember what all the, each color represents, but I know red magic is physical enhancements, so you use that on your body and you can punch harder, and Maki specializes in Navy magic, which is mind manipulation magic. So we get to the end of episode 9, and she casts basically a big spell to wipe everyone's memory after they learn that Eureka is a magical girl. So everyone forgets, basically. Which I think, when I first watched this, I wasn't a fan of that, right? But coming back to it and seeing where it goes, I really like sort of how Eureka develops from that. Because we see her basically go from desperately wanting everyone to acknowledge that she is indeed a magical girl, to her just enjoying being able to be a normal girl. So I like that, right? I think you really need to read the novels to appreciate sort of where that leads Eureka. But for these episodes, I get how some people would be upset about that. Another sort of important thing here is, again, I said we see more white magic here. We see Harumi change, where her hair goes all white, and we see like a little shining symbol on her forehead, and she conjures up a sword for Kotaro to use to fight Maki. Again, a lot of foreshadowing in basically the early parts of this series that if you only watch the anime, you're not really going to get a payoff for that. But I think it was neat. I think the fights were okay in these few episodes. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. We get a bit of Thea, right? She gets a bit, like, not focused, but a few scenes with her where we see how her relationship with everyone has really changed, and how like she's sort of starting to get a crush on Kotaro, right? They decide that they're going to do a second Silver Princess and Blue Knight play in the winter. So she's trying to finish off a script for that, and we see her sort of trying to figure out how to write the finale of that play. And she's thinking about a kiss scene between the Blue Knight and the Silver Princess, and she's imagining herself in that role as the Silver Princess, along with Kotaro as the Blue Knight. So we get a bit of that. We also get a really nice moment in episode 9 where Kotaro and Eureka had been fighting Maki on their own, and they were kind of getting their butt whooped because of the black magic, and Thea shows up and is quite upset and basically acknowledges Kotaro as her knight, even though she secretly knighted him while he was asleep, so he doesn't even know. But yeah, 2 really good episodes. There's 2 bits that I want to talk about that are not in the anime from the novel that I think are kind of important. I'll start with the least important one, right? There is a scene where Eureka and Maki were fighting in like a construction site. Kotaro and Sanae show up. There's a moment where Kotaro tells Sanae to go back to school and get the other girls. And in the novel, that's an actual scene where Sanae sort of struggles to leave, which is important later on. But the anime is never going to get to that, so I see why they cut that. But in this, it's basically just Kotaro, Eureka, Harumi, and Sanae standing around in the construction site where the fight was happening, and then the next scene we go to the school, and then Sanae shows up. So we don't even see him ask her to go. So that's kind of important. Not very important for the actual anime because it's never going to get there. Now, the major thing that I think the 2 episodes here really lack from the novel is we see a lot of Maki's thoughts throughout that volume. And so the episode was episode 7, 9, 8. I forget what episodes I'm on. Sorry. Episode 8. When Maki shows up, Eureka had just been trying to convince everyone she's a magical girl. And so Maki transfers into school, and Eureka gets really excited and sort of runs up to the front of the class as Maki's being introduced, and basically just starts telling everyone that she's a magical girl. And then, of course, everyone in class just assumes Maki's another cosplayer. But we get a lot of Maki's thoughts throughout this, where she is constantly overestimating Eureka. She thinks Eureka planned this. She thinks she is purposely acting like a cosplayer to sort of hide her identity. And another thing we get later on is she gets to a point where she thinks Kotaro is basically a much powerful, like a much more powerful wizard or magician than Eureka, and is actually controlling her. Because Maki can see Sanae, and she believes that Kotaro is basically controlling her with magic. So we don't get much of that in this. We get little mentions of it, like we get Maki confronting Eureka and bringing up that she thinks it was smart that Eureka sort of confronted her in that way, and then we later on see her basically say that she thinks Kotaro is the mastermind. But yeah, those are the two things that I think are really important. Another thing that I want to point out, which I forgot about until just now, we hear Eureka sort of talk about her past and how she became a magical girl, and we learn about her predecessor, was it Rainbow Nana? I'm sorry, I made myself laugh because for some reason it's in my head it sounded like I said rainbow, like banana, it came out like. I don't know. It was weird. Rainbow Nana, who is mentioned later on and comes in a little bit later on in the novels. But I didn't remember this. We actually see like her in the anime in like flashbacks. She doesn't speak or anything. But we like see her design, and I just didn't remember that. So that was kind of neat. Like going back to an anime that you've seen, you've read the novels of, and then you go back and you're like, oh, I forgot this was in here. But yeah, that's it. Very good episodes. Probably my favorite of the bunch so far. 6 and 7 are pretty close, but 8 and 9 here I think are just really, really good. Especially with all the actual like action and stuff we see in this, which is a good change of pace from what we've seen before. But yeah, these 2 episodes were really good. This show's really good. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode here. I'll see you guys next time.